My name is Mr. Martin.
I'm Susan DeGoey.
My name is Jennifer Goodwin.
Melissa.
Miss Del Nero.
My name is Mrs. Hall.
Miss Capola.
My name's Marianne Brown.
My name is Mr. Johnson.
My name is Mr. Test.
I'm Assistant Marsico.
How long have you worked at South and what do you teach?
I still work here, that's a good thing, but I've been working at South since 2007 and in the district since 2002. And I teach music.
I'm the orchestra teacher and I've been here for 25 years.
I have been at Intermediate South this is my 14th year, but prior to that I was 8 years in Lacey. Currently I'm a language arts teacher for 8th grade.
This is my 10th year at South and I teach band, history of rock, and music and film.
I teach English 2. I used to teach English 1. I've been here, I think, 5 years now.
Currently teaching juniors in one class of sophomores in health and phys ed, and I coach cheerleading, but I used to coach field hockey and softball as well. Including subbing, coaching, teaching at least 20 years or more.
So I've been teaching art at South for 12 years, and I'm also a part of the drama club, and I help direct the plays at High School South.
Well, I teach band, music theory 1, music theory 2, music of Broadway, and music in film. And I've been here since 2007, so that's 12 going on 13 years.
I've been at Beechwood for 16 or 17 years now, and I teach vocal music and chorus.
How does your activity impact the school?
I think we do a lot of cultural outreach and get to hang out with the community, and they get to see all the good things that come out of South. And I try to build humans.
There's no question band brings the spirit, is the lifeblood of the school. We march the halls every Friday and get everybody ramped up for the games. When we're at the football games, the football team's looking for us to play Seminole and Old Indian Tom, and even just our concerts, like we're bringing the holiday spirit and all the things the jazz band does around town. I mean, it's not just marching band, but all of those things that we do. It would be like not having music in your everyday life, and that's what's gonna happen to South.
Well, obviously cheer, we're part of, football games and basketball games. The cheerleaders cheer on the teams, along with the mascots during football season. We also do competition team. This year we're combining all 3 high schools, so we have girls from all 3 schools who made the team to combine into one competition team. And I think, as far as phys ed, for those who put into that class is what they get out of what they put in. So if they have someone who puts nothing into the class, that's what they're going to get out of it. And we have students who go all out and they have fun. The goal is just to have fun, change, participate, but unfortunately a lot of times that's not what happens. How it impacts, we try to get some of these kids, even if it's like 10 minutes of activity, 15 minutes of activity, it's more than what they would get probably on their own. So that's initially the goal, is just to get them some type of activity throughout the day. Plus activity, it releases certain hormones, brain chemicals, and it helps people think a lot more than just sitting in a classroom and listening to what's going on.
I think being a part of the drama club is a wonderful thing. There's so many students who are creative, who sing, who dance, who act, who paint, and it gives them an outlet to do those things. But if we didn't have that, those students wouldn't have any place to kind of be a part of that activity?
There are so many programs that we do. I would say there's probably 11 or 12 concerts, maybe 13, that I do every year with the kids. And we involve everybody from the kindergarten program to our first grade. All of our first graders do the Flag Day program and the Arbor Day, Earth Day. They're learning about all these different things as we're teaching them the songs and getting ready. We've got programs we do here at school and outside of school. The chorus is doing their spring and winter concerts, but I also take them to Stockton University and we get an opportunity to sing there. And we sang at the Borgata just last Saturday, and they got involved with all classical music. They got to sing with professional instrumentalists, a professional orchestra, and professional singers, and what an experience they had. So all of these things really impact their lives. They're very excited to participate in these things.
How will this budget cut impact you, the future of your job, and the activity that you teach?
It's a lot to take in, because coming to Toms River, you know, even when I was in high school in Lacey, we knew, like, man, Toms River's got this big marching band programs, and we knew the history and the legacy. And when I got hired here in Toms River, everybody was like, yo, you got hired in Toms River, that's awesome. And I can remember being like, this is my forever school, this is where I'm gonna retire, I love it here, there's no place like South. And I was having the conversation over the last couple of weeks, you know, with my parents, my fiance, and it's like, what's gonna happen? If marching band and summer school and all these activities get cut, those are all stipends that I have at home, and I'm gonna probably have to get a second job to help support bills and family. And honestly, we're fighting for our jobs. If marching band and the activities are going this year, band is an expensive class. All the instruments that we have and the busing and everything that we do, I don't think they would hesitate to cut us or force us to teach general music all day long to get the art requirement in. So I think we're not only fighting for extracurriculars, I think within the next year or so, we're gonna be fighting for our jobs.
It may change a lot of things. A lot of these programs that I get to take the children to, they're not going to be able to do. As of right now, there's a lot of things that I take them to that I volunteer to do. We do school musical, and all the teachers here, we all volunteer for that. And in elementary school, we don't get opportunities like that to be able to do programs unless we do it, unless we volunteer for it. So more and more of these programs are going to be volunteer. It's very difficult to be able to put the programs on.
How won't it affect what I do? First of all, if marching band goes away, that's the lifeblood not only of our program, but of the school spirit, I would think. We're always referred to as the 12th man on the field because we're loud and we're proud. I think the community would miss us in parades. It would be an amazing loss to the community and the school. Additionally, you would assume that if marching band goes away, also our repair budget would go away. So even for concert band, we wouldn't be able to fix anything we own. We wouldn't be able to buy new instruments. Whatever we had until it breaks, and then what? We would rely more heavily, perhaps, on our band parents to fundraise for basics. Things that we take for granted right now, like reeds for the reed instruments or valve oil, none of that would exist because we buy that on our budgets that we have through the generosity of the school system. That wouldn't exist either. And eventually down the road, there's a possibility that my job wouldn't exist. If the cuts go all the way through to that point, it's quite possible that they could just put a basic teacher in high school with a music appreciation book in front of them and call that the high school arts credit, and the performing arts would go away.
That's a big question. Okay, so let's take it in parts. How will it impact me? Well, I'm both a parent and I'm a teacher in this district. So if we don't get the money, I understand as a parent in the district that my children are going to lose things that are vital to their well-rounded education, quality education. As a teacher, I fear for my job, and I fear that my students will be crammed into class sizes of 30 or more. And I also fear that my students who need sports in their future and in their present won't have that outlet. I fear that my kids who need arts, be it technical arts, be it music, be it pen, paper art, that they won't have that. And then they lose their purpose for coming to school, they lose their will for coming to school. And that puts us in a really, really scary predicament.
How will the cut of choir and music affect the community?
Affect the community. It's going to be very difficult. Everyone, the whole community is involved in all the programs that we do. Inside school, outside of the school, not just here in Beechwood, but all around, taking them down to South Jersey and everything. It's going to be very difficult to be able to put on programs. The community is going to be really disappointed if they don't get to see their kids up there. It gives them a nice rounded education, gives them a chance to be creative and learn things that normally wouldn't be able to be presented with.
Just going out into the community and showing that we can do great things and showing people that not everything is horrible and that there are bright moments in life and that they can see that young people in the community are trying hard to make Townsville a better place. I think if that goes away, that's when it becomes really hard.
How will the cut of band impact how school events are run?
Well, there's no question that we have a big spirited band here, and we march the halls. That would go away. We go to away games and home games. Actually, would both go away. Many bands already in other districts to cut costs have finished going to away games. We wouldn't be at any games. If we were at games as a pep band, or even in parades, because that's part of our curriculum, it's actually part of our academics, our rehearsal time would be greatly reduced because neither I nor Ms. Donero would be paid for summer work, so it would not start until September, and we'd have a pep band like 3 days after school started. We'd have a couple practices and we'd go in front of the public.
How do you have a school event without band? How do you have the pep rallies without the band playing Old Indian Tom and rock and roll? How do you have a home game without marching the halls? What the football team, if they kept them, would have no tunnel to run down? How do you, the holiday coffee house that we have here that so many people come to and relax and support the jazz band? I mean, I can keep going. I think people take for granted all of the things that we do around here, and all of the hype that we bring, and all of the music that we make, and all the memories that we create. We're a part of all of them. It's not just the band kids, it's the entire school. We are here all of the time. And I just think you're gonna be missing that heartbeat. I think events would not be the same if band was cut.
How will the cut of orchestra affect how many people go into music in their future?
I think if music is cut in our district, very few kids would go into music. I also feel that while going into music for a career is a really big deal, the majority of the kids here go into music just to develop their brain and to develop team working skills and to just develop an appreciation for the arts. And with it being cut, I don't think any of these appreciations will be developed. As far as going into music as a career, I think very few kids will be able to because they'll just never get their start.
How will the cut of physical arts affect students?
So I think the arts classes are such a great way to learn how to be more creative, how to express yourself. You learn things like teamwork and responsibility and time management that without classes like that, these are skills that students need to learn on top of things like drawing and painting. But it's really those other skills, learning how to express yourself in a visual way or in a creative way, that we're hoping we're able to keep, because those are such important skills for students to learn.
In what ways will the budget cut influence how you run your class?
Well, right now, we use technology almost every day. Right now, my classes are manageable sizes where I can walk around the room and talk with my students. My fear is that our technology will not last forever, and if my class sizes are bigger than 30 students, there are only 30 Chromebooks in a cart, and we'll have to start sharing Chromebooks. And I'm not sure how effective I will be in a classroom of over 30 students, discipline-wise.
In the big picture, I'm going to do my best to still be the best teacher that I could be. But I feel as though if the budget cuts have an effect, let's say, on the bigger picture of sports and after-school programs, that could affect just the overall disposition of students and their mood towards school, because some, yes, everybody has to be educated, but some come to school as well for the social part of it and the athletic part of it and the acting and the art part of it. And I feel like without those things, it'll have an effect on the students in the classroom, which then I'll have to maybe even become more creative than I already am to hold on to their attention, and use the lessons to apply not only to their lessons in the classroom and their life, but outside of the classroom, which I always said to my students is super important, to take the lessons that I teach them and take them outside the door to the field, to the stage, whatever else they do after school every day.
It would definitely affect it a lot, because I know with budget cuts, if they get rid of if they get rid of more teachers like they had to do last year, class size is going to be a huge factor. I know we don't have a classroom, so it's not like we have a specific amount of seats in each classroom, but if we have to, take like 40 or more kids in a class, it's still going to impact us, because, we are in a gym and we can only hold so many people on a half a gym or, in a small gym, and then, it could become a safety factor because we have more kids than we can, A, keep an eye on, or B, have equipment for, or things like that. So it'll be very impacted, I think.
What inspired you to write your letter?
I had a lot of essays to grade. And it was a choice between writing essays, and I was starting to get really heated up. I'm reading things online and looking at tweets and looking at Instagram. And basically, I sat down at the computer, it could have been close to midnight, and I just typed. And I typed and I typed and I typed. And I really didn't pay any mind to how long it was, but I really thought of this whole community as a giant quilt. We're a blanket for one another. A quilt, if you're somebody's go-to for a friend, a counselor, a coach, a teacher, a community member. I mean, looking out, if I can say this, at the football field right now, you look at this and you feel home. And, I think about that with elementary schools and middle schools and any kind of field or stage. Everyone has this connection to school in a different way. And I feel like that's why I wrote it. I wrote it because I feel like since I've been here, I've been living in Toms River since 1982, and it's been my home since then. And I wanted to raise my kids here, my family here, and maybe grandkids here someday. Okay, things like that. But the big picture is the quilt being something cozy and warm and keeping people together. And this is what this community has provided for me. I've been lucky, and I want my students, my current students, my former students, my students that are coming up, my own kids, my nieces and nephews, I want them to experience what I experienced. And I got that, being, part of Toms River Schools and this community.
Why do you think your letter was so widely shared?
I don't know. I first put it up on Facebook, my own page. I had a lot of friends see it. Then people said post it to Instagram, so I went that way. Not too savvy with the whole Twitter thing, but it made its way there via friends and family. I think that everybody can connect to it in some way. They can look at that idea of the quilt and how we're all patched together, no matter if you are athletic or a person that's very strong with academics, or you're an athlete. Like everybody comes together. And I think a quilt's like that. It doesn't matter what colors or materials or textures. That's Toms River. We're all colors, materials, and textures, mixed together and sewn together. And I think that's why our community works as well as it does as a community.
to Central Regional High School.
What's your child's name and how old are they?
Her name is Liana, and she's 4, and I have a newborn, Miles, and he is 4 months old.
How do you feel as a parent sending their child into a school system with limited to no sports, clubs, physical, and performing arts?
I am extremely disappointed if there would be none of those. I can already tell that Liana is going to be an extremely artistic child. She is very good at drawing and singing and dancing, so I know that she's probably going to go down that route as far as what she's going to be interested in. The little guy I'm not so sure of yet.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Toms River High School South.
What year did you graduate from high school South?
I graduated in 1995.
What did you like about going to South?
What didn't I like about going to South? I think my favorite thing about going to South was the school spirit.
What mostly generated the South spirit?
Mr. Corral. Mr. Corral was my history teacher, and he did the morning announcements, and he announced every football game, and it was super awesome, and he got the entire school all full up of school spirit.
Do the school activities impact the school morale and spirit?
Well, it was nice. It gave me, or me personally, it gave me a chance to hang out with kids that I might not have had classes with and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool. It gave you a chance to get to know people that you wouldn't normally get to know. And also have groups of kids working together toward a common goal, like volunteering and that kind of stuff. So I thought that was cool too.
What activities did you participate in? Were you in any sports, any clubs?
I did sports when I was a freshman and a sophomore, but I wasn't very good at them, but I was involved in a lot of clubs too. And then I became involved in this senior class, student body stuff. I was the treasurer.
Do you think the activities you participated in had an impact on the person you are today?
Absolutely, I do. I mean, my favorite color is still maroon. And I felt very strongly about my kids going to Toms River High School South, so I made sure we lived in a town that you guys would get to go there, and I'm super pumped that you guys are there now and that you have just as much school spirit as I did. So yeah.
What do you think will happen if most of South's activities were to be cut?
I think that kids would get into a lot more trouble because they would have a lot more free time. I think that kids would have a lot harder time getting into colleges because they're going to have a lot less impressive things to put on their college applications. I think that school morale will be low because they'll have less opportunities to get involved with each other outside of their regular classes. I think people will try to leave our district and move someplace else because they're not going to want their kids to go through all that. It's going to stink.
What are your thoughts on the S2 budget then? Do you kind of get what I'm saying?
So my thoughts are that they don't want to release the formula because it's not fair. And they're trying to reallocate funds with some underlying agenda that wouldn't be accepted by the public. I don't think there's been a major change in the Toms River School District with the income level of the families that live here that have to pay property taxes, whose kids go to school. I don't think there's been a big enough change for them to make us pay more tax dollars to keep the activities and the programs and everything that we've had, which is what they're claiming. So
when you say release a formula, what is the formula?
They're saying they have some formula that helps them determine what school districts need this state aid and what districts don't need the state aid. And they're saying that, the Toms River is one of the districts that no longer needs the state aid.
So that's why we're losing all of the money.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the cutting of arts and sports could ruin potential scholarship opportunities for students who may rely on them?
It would absolutely ruin scholarship opportunities if kids don't even have a chance to even try the things that they might be interested in doing, like sports or arts field. There's no way for them to even start to figure out if they even like the things that they might actually really excel at, and then they would have no opportunity to pursue it.
Of course, 100%.
I would think it would ruin scholarship opportunities for everyone, but yeah, I would definitely say especially lower income kids, because sometimes the lower income kids, rely on those scholarships for books, or just maybe even tuition in general. So yeah, it would be a definite impact on them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you just thinking practically about students applying for college, and if one school students are involved in sports and activities and another school they're not, those kids are going to have a harder time getting accepted to programs, winning scholarships. Even if they're taking advantage of everything we offer, if we don't have those programs for them, everyone here will be at a much greater disadvantage than students from schools who do offer those things.
100%.
No question. I mean, for some kids, not every kid's cut out to be an academic. And for some kids, music is their outlet, or they're really great at sports. And if that's what's going to help them to get into school, I think that's really important. And colleges today more than ever look for well-rounded kids. If they see a band kid who did marching band and jazz band and clarinet choir and, everything that you can do, they're going to say, man, this kid was really involved and really dedicated. Whereas if you had a kid in sports, even if they weren't the greatest, they rose up from freshman to JV and they were dedicated at every practice. That says a lot about somebody as a person, even if you weren't the best on the team, or you didn't sit first chair in band or whatever, or you didn't make captain or drum major or whatever. You're showing that you have commitment and you're willing to work and you have that dedication.
There's no question. There's absolutely no question.
I think cutting it makes it harder. I think especially for kids going into a field of either sport or arts makes it 10 times as difficult to get into the college I want to, because let's take, for instance, I went to Westminster Choir College, and if I didn't have choir on my list of classes every year for high school, I would not even have been considered for one of the great music schools in the world.
Gosh, absolutely.
Generally, the most marketable kids in universities are the more diverse and well-rounded students. And if we are cutting orchestra, cutting music, cutting all of their activities, how are they going to become the well-rounded, diverse children or students that the colleges are seeking? I think that you're totally ruining their chances of getting into decent colleges, as well as really significantly deterring any scholarship hope.
Do you have any last thoughts on the issue?
It makes me really sad to think about what could potentially happen. I think about the big picture. I don't want, like I said, when I think about all my students that I've had, which could be close to over 2,000 so far in my career, and I think about my children and my nieces and nephews and leaving at the end of a school day, and that's what I think they need to understand, the people who are making these choices. Leaving at the end of a school day at 2:10 or 1:45 or 3:10, whatever time zone the school is on, in a sense, leaving the day and just going home, not being able to get their frustrations out on the field, or to get a little more confident on stage, or anything under the sun, like anything under the sun that they love to do after school. Just imagining a child going home, possibly even to a home that no one's there because both parents are working. And these children that maybe are a little more shy in class, maybe they get to shine on the stage and on the field and in their club and volunteering, going to nursing homes, all these different things that happen after school. To me, that's equally as important as what I do in the classroom. So I need people to understand that, and I need the governor to read my letter and respond to me.
I think the big thing to remember for me, and even if you want to show this part to Governor Murphy, whatever, it's really hard at the end of the day. I think the hardest part for me is trying to explain to the band kids, this may not happen next year. We don't know what's going to happen next year. And to watch them be in tears, you guys be in tears at the Thanksgiving game, or the last time we played Old Indian Tom at the rally. Like, how do you for a whole year say this is your last? This might be your last. How do you sit here and say that when 100 years of tradition going down the drain simply because people in Trenton who have no idea what they're talking about clearly think they do. I would love for them to come down and tell them to your faces that this is why they're doing this, and then see what happens. The best thing we can do is plan and hope for the best and still give you guys the best experience we can while we can.
I think that no matter where you go, the one instrument that everybody is born with is the voice. And it's become one of the most important things humans have ever used, because if you don't speak up or you don't sing out or you don't do anything, then you don't make an impact. And singing is one of those things that everybody knows how to do. And it's one of those things that we can take every subject and put it into. And when the choir is gone, I think the soul of what education is gone.
We got to keep fighting. We've got to keep fighting. We can't like come back from break and like, okay, well, that was a good fight. That was a good protest. Now we're done, because the budget process is going to start in the end of January with the Board of Education, and they're going to have to start making the really tough calls. If by then the governor or the state senate or whoever we can reach out to has come up with more relief, really tough decisions will have to be made, and we can't stop fighting.
I just hope that they really think about what they're doing. I hope that they realize that they're affecting all of these children, all our little babies here, going on to middle school and high school. They're affecting their lives, and they need to be able to be kids, and they need to be able to learn as much as they can. And music really involves them in all those areas, covers everything.
Don't cut our money. We need it, please.
I just, I hope that, we get this funding back, because if not, a lot of people are going to be impacted next year, and not only teachers but students, and I think just all around it's going to be a big mess.
I want students to know that their voices matter, and that adults have tried to fix this problem for almost 2 years now, and it's their turn to try to fix it.
You can say anything to Governor Murphy right now. What would you say?
Governor Murphy, you are forgetting that these are human beings. These are children that you are denying these experiences for. Think back on your own high school education and all the activities and things that you got to do because you got a fair and well-rounded education. By you taking away these activities from these students, you are denying them these things they should be going through. I think you and the rest of your cronies up in Trenton need to take a hard, long look at what you are doing to Toms River and really reconsider. Thank you.
At the end of my letter, I said he's not affecting just one person and one town on the map of the entire state or country or around the world, because there's thousands and thousands of those. He's affecting children. He's affecting teenagers. He's affecting kids that even haven't started school yet, potentially, that are in preschool and ready. He's affecting such a big picture, and I'm hoping that behind this decision, it's well thought out, because it wasn't a mindful decision of what's coming. The big picture. The big picture really wasn't thought about, how much it's going to affect, this ripple effect, the snowball effect that it's going to have on a community that's as loved as Toms River is.
I would say that they have to release their funding formula to show everybody if it's fair or not, and let the public decide if it's fair the way they're using our tax dollars, and make sure that everybody gets what they're entitled to.
Please reconsider with every ounce of your body to further help our children excel in things that they would be able to excel in if you were not to take this away.
Governor Murphy, please give us our money. It's going to affect the entire community. I've already said that in terms of parades and appearances at football games and things. And for example, the choir going and singing at the radio station at this time of year as well, those kinds of things. But it's going to impact, obviously, the direct lives of our students. There are students that call the band room their home. It's their living room. It's where they're safe. It's where they collaborate. It's where they can hang out with each other. All of that would go away. And of course, the staff. As I mentioned earlier, you know, my job, my livelihood, you know, with my wife and 2 kids that live in town, you know, grew up in Beechwood, been with the Toms River District my entire life. It could go. It could be gone in a few years. So again, without that money, I don't know what the future holds for us. So please give it to us.
I wish Governor Murphy would do what we thought that he was going to do. We thought that he was going to really support the teachers, and I wish that he would stand up for us. I wish he would stand up for the children, because they need these programs. They can't be without them. They need them.
I would say I understand that there are a lot of school districts that need money and that are struggling, and I hope that we can help all of them, but I don't want it to harm our school district in order to do so. So please, you know, rethink this funding so that we can keep some of our money and still be able to offer these great programs to our students.
Give the kids the funding. I mean, I know the teachers need it too for us to keep certain jobs, but I think the kids need it more. So they have a place to go after school, things to do. And I just think that they need it more so than most other people.
Governor Murphy, I voted for you because I thought that you would save education. And basically, Governor, you just threw that in my face. So I just have one thing to say: never again.
I would say that I know he's smart enough to understand what we're losing. But I think that he needs to reconsider the decisions that he's going to make on such a huge town. People don't see this as a city, but we really are a city. We're a huge area. We're a bunch of little communities that are compact into a city. And when you take away something from a city, the entire society of it just starts to disintegrate. And we've got a lot of spirit and a lot of hope and a lot of amazing people. And once you take that away, it's no longer an amazing place to be. Reconsider.
Eki la boomba. Eki la boomba. Eki la biki wiki. Eki la biki wiki. Ata tapa. Ata tapa wapa.